we'll see. You can hit that first.
Not this shit again.
I was about to say, he almost forgot.
Where's all the bass at? My headphones?
I'm gonna stare. Oh shit!
My bad. That was your headphones.
What? What? There's no staring in my head. I'm dead. I can't hear.
I'm definitely going on the 1-3 right now. Channeling my inner Scheffner.
So you're gonna tear your meniscus too?
What's up, good people? Live from the Good News Sports Studio in Los Angeles, California. I am PD Camarillo, and he is
Kenneth St. James Berry.
And we are Touchdowns and Tangents, your NFL spot for topical takes and tangents for the culture. For those of you who've never listened to us, you've definitely been missing out. And yeah, sorry for being late, but that's the usual. So if you listen to us, you already know we're late.
And, I mean, not only that, you ain't doing shit right now. Shout out to everybody who's at work and you need to get something to get you through the night. We appreciate you.
But yeah, shout out to our affiliates, X Squad affiliates, FPC Radio, your favorite podcast app, et cetera, et cetera. With that, there's a lot of stuff we got to talk about.
Let's talk about it.
The Antonio Brown shit. Holy
Saga.
shit.
Just shout out to Nick Hamilton. We kind of like went back and forth on Twitter talking about it. Like, good riddance to bad rubbish. He's a locker room cancer, which is kind of true when you think about that type of a personality. But I look at it as everybody got an Antonio Brown in their family that you're not really proud of or you're annoyed by. Or maybe they're not the breadwinner that Antonio Brown is. Might be a cousin. Might be your mama. Might be your daddy. Shit, it might be you.
Honestly.
But you got to try to get that person some help and understand, like, and don't give, yeah, like some people could say, oh, Devontae's, the Bengals years, all those hits to his head have done something to him to an extent. To a small extent, but he's been like this in Central Michigan. He's been like this since he was a kid.
So let's back up a little bit. In case you missed it, you're living in a hole. You didn't see anything on social media. What happened was Antonio Brown essentially took his pads off. At the time, the Buccaneers were losing to the Jets like 27-7. Took his stuff off, walked off the field, was like waving by in the end zone, looking kind of crazy. And a lot of people said that he just kind of quit on the team.
Had a mental meltdown. And cost me my fucking fantasy football championship.
A lot of people.
Ooh.
Maybe he was on the take for that. Who knows?
Ooh, I'm so upset.
He's probably on the take.
I mean, I still won money in my league, but I could have won $250 instead of $100.
The Buccaneers ended up winning the game, and Bruce Arians winning
Barely
the press
beat the
conference, and it was like, oh, yeah.
He's done.
He's done. We didn't know about the ankle, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward a few days, and Antonio Brown put out his statement today, and essentially just said that he was like, they're lying. They knew about it. He showed his receipts. And he turned on Tom Brady, was like, yeah, look at, he asked his trainer back for Alex Guerrero, the infamous TB12 guy, for $100,000 back because he never actually trained him, even though he paid him, which... Did Antonio Brown's chefs ever get paid? But yeah, that's
but I mean, he gave him
separate issue.
He calmly gave him the money back and said, "Okay, how do you want me to send it back to you?" But also,
but then he was like, "Look at this fuckery."
Yeah, it gives some credence to Bill Belichick not liking Alex Guerrero. I think apparently Edelman said something about him back in the day too.
But yeah, the conversation.
Don't burn that bridge with Tom Brady.
The conversation that happened with him and Arians was essentially like, he was like, I can't go right now. I'm trying to get right. It's my ankle, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, let's just talk about it.
The bones protruding out of the ankle. Like, it was some nasty shit. He even showed a picture of his ankle. The bone was protruding out. He pretty much has a bunch of torn ligaments, literal broken bones in his foot. And as someone who's had a similar injury, yeah, you can't walk around like that and do things. And he took they gave him a dangerous, lethal painkiller at halftime that could literally kill you. And pretty much, he's like, this wasn't me snapping and quitting. He said, I knew I couldn't go back in the game. I knew I was injured and I was playing injured. And he pretty much said, you're out of here. But then also, Bruce Arians pretty much lied to the media and wasn't really forthcoming and was like, well, he's no longer a Buck. But then they didn't cut him until today. This happened Sunday. He didn't get released until today, which is Thursday. And if I do the math, that's 4 days, isn't it, Pete? Now, people
that's essentially making it so that he can't sign anywhere else and get on a practice squad and get cleared before a game.
Before the playoffs.
Yeah, so that's pretty petty.
And he pretty much has to get surgery, season-ending surgery, because his ankle looked pretty bad. And one thing you can say about Antonio Brown, you could call him crazy, and we really shouldn't call him crazy. He's eccentric. He has a lot of energy and a lot of personality, and some people can't handle that because they're either insecure within themselves or they don't see a human being for what they are. They see them as what they pertain to you.
Yeah, and I think to your point, it's like just because somebody has made it to the top of their craft or they're living their dream and their passion doesn't mean that they're perfect. Doesn't mean that they have.
And he said it.
All the shit figured out that all of us are going through every single day. Like, what do we mean to the world? What do I mean to my family? Like, et cetera, et cetera. But so I think to your point, the thing is, like, looking back on it, and we made jokes about it at the beginning of the year, but we were like, he called a lot of shit about Gruden and the Raiders, and everyone kind of laughed him off the stage at the time.
He was right.
And now with this shit, it's like the whole situation was, okay, if anything bad happens with Antonio Brown, he's going to be cut.
He's done.
The fake vaccine shit happened, and guess what? He wasn't done.
But guess what? You can't blame him because there's people who are unvaccinated.
Yeah, it's different.
Aaron Rodgers lied. Like,
he didn't lie.
He lied by omission.
He did not, but he didn't lie. He didn't actually actively go and get something that he lied about.
But they knew he wasn't vaccinated. So therefore it's the same thing by a different name.
It's not the same thing.
We both stole. I just didn't get caught.
There's a difference between driving with no driver's license and then driving with a
suspended license.
No, driving with a fake driving license.
Well, either way,
not even a suspended. Like, he had a fake license, not a suspended license.
So they're both the same outcome, just a different means of manipulation.
No, it's one is.
He's still not vaccinated, by the way, Aaron Rodgers. Antonio Brown eventually got vaccinated. So
what does that mean? Are we vaccination shaming people?
That's what everybody else has been doing.
I mean, I haven't done that except for you.
I mean, the outbreak happens at my job.
I don't care if you don't want to get vaccinated, you want to fuck up your bread and your life and make everything else harder for you. I mean, that's fine.
I mean, if you don't, you don't. If you do, you do. But like, I just don't like all you people who still don't wash your hands. I think
the common ground,
wipe your ass properly. I still see you out here.
The common ground is that they both used it to sidestep the protocols. That's what.
Which Cole Beasley's been doing it, and he's been fined, I think, almost $1 million. He's been fined a lot of money, Cole Beasley personally, for her whole vaccination situation. And Justin
Fields,
get his
streams up.
Justin Fields also isn't vaccinated, and he tested positive. He's in the COVID protocol. But what I'm saying is, because it's Antonio Brown, I think I told Nick Hamilton this on Twitter, it's like, if it was anybody else, we would give them credence. We would believe them based on the facts of what came out. But because it's Antonio Brown, he's the devil that we don't give him any leeway for anything.
And Reggie Bush, he commented on Antonio Brown's post, either directly or one of the ones that resurfaced, was like, yeah, I've seen this happen. This happens all the time.
Happened to Reggie to an extent. Like, how they do people.
Coaches are on the side of winning. They don't care about players' health. They want to win and save their jobs.
Like, coaches don't get torn ACLs and then have to go out and
Unless
run
they try
sprints.
to giddy.
I mean, I'll say this. By the way, shout out to whoever's in the comment section right now. I'll say this. There's a special place in my heart for when I see white people get hurt for doing shit they got no business doing. Like, mimicking a black dance that you had no business doing. You don't have the rhythm or the footwork to do that. Your corny white ass wanted to go out here and do this, and now look at you. You got a torn meniscus. You got a dad bod. What are you doing?
Look at you.
Not everybody got to try that shit, bro. Like, I'm fat. You don't see me out here sprinting anywhere.
Let's have a toast for the insiders. Let's have a toast for the anonymous sources. Let's have a toast for all the reporters sharing agents with players. All of the ones that I know.
Exactly. That was beautiful. Shout out to C's. He said that shirt gotta go. Yeah, I mean, for a team that wins no championships, Clippers fans are bolder than insurrectionists who can't climb walls.
Wow, too soon?
Where's the gunshot? You can just hit the gunshot for me several times.
Even though the mouse is just as close to you.
I hope the person who fell off that wall, they didn't honor your health insurance if you're struggling financially. Dumbass. Who climbs a wall with that heavy? I think some of my former coworkers at my old job who magically weren't at work when that happened, I think they went to Washington to go be insurrectionists and were too pussy to actually charge the Capitol. But, you know, all those people are criminals and should be locked up and get, like, football numbers because you technically waged a war on your own government. But that's a whole nother issue for a whole nother day. But back to Antonio Brown. I brought it up to Nick. I was like, you know, Josh Gordon is arguably worse than Antonio Brown. All he did was just do drugs and get popped and knowingly fuck up and spit in the face of every opportunity that was handed to him. And he's on the Kansas City Chiefs right now. But if he pops again for drugs, is anybody going to be like, oh, woe is him, his mental health? After a while, it's like, dog, you just an addict. Like, and you're not producing. It's not like you producing like Antonio Brown was producing. Wow, okay. Like, say what you want about Antonio Brown, but let's be real. He was their second best receiver and arguably Tom Brady's favorite target with Chris Godwin out for a torn ACL. Mike Evans is hurt, you know, bum hamstring. He still played, called a touchdown. But I think we need to really, like, because it's Antonio Brown, we don't shine a light on the fact that what happened and what Bruce Arians did was wrong and how he wasn't forthcoming with the media and he lied. He didn't tell the whole story. But that dude hated Antonio Brown dating back to Pittsburgh anyway. And I'm pretty sure he got a little bit of joy of kicking his ass off the sideline. Like, don't tell me he didn't. And if he tells you he didn't, he's a liar. Because, well, we can go back to all the foul shit you said years ago about Antonio Brown. That's how you really felt about that man. Guess what? Antonio Brown was a 6th-round pick. He got kicked out of Central Michigan.
I mean, that's the hard part, too, is like a lot of...
And I ain't capable for him at all.
A lot of draft profiles kind of like said this about him, and I think it's really crazy how it just kind of like slipped through the cracks in Pittsburgh for so long.
It didn't slip through the cracks. You allow certain things when a certain amount of production is happening. And Antonio Brown was winning them games. When Mike Wallace was there, they didn't pay Mike Wallace because they had Antonio Brown and Emmanuel Sanders. Think about it. They didn't need to, until they had to pay Antonio Brown, they didn't have to pay anybody else.
Santonio Holmes.
They didn't have to pay Le'Veon really because they had Antonio.
Because
he is the franchise. You can say what you want about Big Ben.
And because he was a 6th-round pick, it's like they could leverage that more so.
We'll pay him his exact
than
money.
Other guys.
Yeah, we'll pay him his exact dollars. But since you were a 6th-round pick and, Big Ben's the franchise, well, we got to pay you just enough to keep you happy. And you know what? Ryan Clark and other cats, Ryan Clark shouldn't have been talking on his money because Ryan Clark was easily probably the most replaceable player on that Steelers defense.
I need you to stop flip-flopping on Ryan Clark.
I'm not flip-flopping. But
you flip-flop on Ryan Clark.
He's the most forgettable player on those Steelers teams. They won without him.
Okay, because like 3 months
times.
ago you said he wasn't that bad.
He wasn't that bad, but he was definitely replaceable. You could have put plenty
of.
And
then like 2 years ago you said he was like horrible, and I was like, he's not that bad.
That's because I hated. My Steeler hate was high back then. My Steeler hatred isn't as high as it used to be. They're pretty much in the same
Ben's
position.
On his way out.
They're in the same position as the Raiders. Why would I hate
Took
you?
his victory lap.
And I think they beat the Steelers. So it's like most of the time, the past couple of years when the Raiders play the Steelers, the Raiders end up winning somehow. So there's nothing to really hate there anymore. I mean, yeah, you got 6 Super Bowls. Raiders got 3. Okay, but you haven't been to a Super Bowl since I was in high school. And Aaron Rodgers clapped you.
Haven't been to a Super Bowl since.
Yeah, but I'm saying I'm not talking about the Raiders. I'm talking about the Steelers and why I don't hate them as much. Like, you have no teeth left. Your defense, but I mean, you'll lose that. You'll lose that too. Trying to get the offense together, you'll lose the defense again. And Mike Tomlin hopefully will become the Raiders head coach, but that's wishful thinking.
So final note on Antonio Brown. Do you think he plays again?
He's done.
If so,
he's
where?
Definitely done. He's done. It's over. It's over. If it was a Josh Gordon situation where always getting busted for his weed, it's over. Like, your boy Alden Smith and Antonio Brown, it's done. It's over. Just retire.
I'll be honest with you, bro.
Like, Antonio Brown legitimately is an asshole, but he's also a nice guy. But ain't nobody got time to keep. Like, I'll
be honest with you,
he played
bro.
himself out of the Hall of
I
Fame.
would take both of them right now on the Raiders. Right now, today.
Of course you would. They'd be productive too. Of course you would. You're gonna die on the Alden Smith train, and that's okay. That's your guy.
I mean, he came back and redeemed himself. He had a decent year for being out for 3 years
with Seattle, and he would have been perfect in Seattle. Oh, we just gonna forget that? We just gonna forget that's why he's not on the roster right now? The Texans didn't even pick him up, bro. I've never seen somebody in their prime just fuck off their whole career this badly.
Justin Blackmon?
That was worse, though. He was a stone-cold alcoholic and had really bad substance problems, and then playing on the Jaguars is pretty much a curse. That's why nobody remembers his stats like that.
Except for me.
Except you. You're the only one.
Literally the only one.
And the DBs he roasted. But, those DBs are probably quiet. They got roasted.
All right, so moving on. NFL playoff picture.
I don't know. We just got to talk about. There's something else on that list.
I don't know. I didn't check the rundown.
Of course you did.
I'm flying blind today.
I lost both my fantasy football championships.
This dude really put that in. Let's talk about it.
I have to get this out in the open. I lost.
Didn't you listen to A.J. Brown? We ran the ball and won the game. Nobody cares about your fucking fantasy team. And that automatic gunshot was on point, so fuck off.
Fuck A.J. Brown. First off, he only had 6 points. I wouldn't pay him a fat contract.
Wait, he was on your team?
Yes. So fuck A.J. Brown. I'll tell you that right now.
He said he don't give a fuck about your fantasy team.
Hey, Chelsea, you're in the chat room. I see you. Also, shout out to my nephew Isaiah. He got his first tooth in today. Bit the shit out of me too. Give him right back to his mom. Like, take him before.
You're gonna have to test that kid for some PEDs.
He's already insanely too big. He's just bigger and bigger and stronger every day. He grabbed my shirt and just wiped his nose with it today. It was so disrespectful.
You got to get him a Mark Henry shirt.
Pretty much. Watch he becomes a power lifter. But no, so I lost. But and shout out to the Good News Sports Fantasy Football League. Shout out to We Don't Make the Rules. I clapped most of your roster and got all the way to the championship game with the roster that had no business being in the title game. But I clapped everybody else. Other than the person who beat me, everybody else, I'm your fucking father. So I don't want to hear shit from you in terms of trash talking. If you didn't make the championship game, you're irrelevant. I don't acknowledge your failure of a fucking season. You should have just not played. But yeah, shout out. I like literally just my team was weak. Like Tyreek Hill, never drafting him again in fantasy. I support everything Nick Hamilton said about him. Stephon Diggs, never drafting him again in fantasy.
See, that's why I hate motherfuckers who play free fantasy football, because they think just because they be putting time and effort into it, that gives them the right to fucking talk shit about players.
Oh, hold on.
It's like, bro,
I was in a paid league too.
Motherfuckers lose every year.
I lost my
You
paid.
ain't the only motherfucker who lost, all right? So get over it.
AJ Dillon was my MVP.
Get over it.
All three of my leagues, I'm giving my MVP to AJ Dillon.
You over here fucking deading receivers because
I'm definitely deading Tyreek Hill. Fuck him. He only shows up like once every 3 weeks. I should have
DK Metcalf.
Definitely DK. Definitely Lockett. I should have just took Jamar Chase. I'm gonna just follow my gut instinct. Just only take receivers with young QBs and a couple running backs.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy about my fantasy team is I started 6-0, made the playoffs,
and then got your ass whooped.
And then got my ass whipped because Lamar got hurt. And what's
Didn't get Tyler Huntley. You would have won with Tyler Huntley.
What's crazy is my whole team, like when I was drafting this team, it was all predicated on making it to the playoffs. Like I picked players who I knew were going to be like in the mix, trying to fight their way to get into the shit. And lo and behold, my first pick, Lamar gets hurt. Second pick. You know who my first pick was?
Of course.
Zeke.
Of course.
Because
and he underwhelmed.
That's the thing about me with fantasy, dog, is like I'm going to lose with my guys. I'd rather lose with my guys than win with fucking
Darren Waller.
Than win with the Browns fucking third running back who had 20 points that one random week.
Oh, yeah, 30. It was like 30. Darnus Johnson. But man, so that was the TGN league. I got whipped in the Super Bowl. It's okay. Most of my roster was injured anyway. And Dawson Knox, he had a career year. He just gave me 0 points in the title game. Nothing for my tight end. All my tight end, I had a bunch of cats on IR. Just COVID. And then the league where I didn't make the playoffs, I had the best roster and ended up fifth. And the dude who's won like 3 fucking straight championships, the only person who didn't trade for anybody, this motherfucker won the title. And the dude he went up against had Joe Burrow on his bench, 65 points on his bench, one guy. And the crazy thing is, he still would have lost because the other dude's bench was so loaded. And like he just caught breaks every week because everybody else had COVID, injuries. And then let me get to my paid fucking fantasy team, Boats, Hoes, and Derek Carr jokes. Came in second place. But the fucked up part is, had I tweaked my lineup a little bit and took some risks, I would have won my championship 175 to 174.11. I would have won by 88 tenths of a point had I chose a certain lineup. But I went with the favorable matchups and who was going to win. Amari Cooper let me down. Antonio Brown let me down. Nick Chubb let me down. Like, half my starters let me down, and all my bench players had fucking star weeks. I was like, damn, I would have literally won my league by 88 tenths of a point had I started my entire bench. But, you know, that is what it is. The winner got 250. Shout out to Taylor. I came in second place, so I got 100, but I only put 50 in on the league, so guess what? A nigga got an extra $50. I won in the seat. I won. Even when I lose, I win. So that was nice. But what hurts the most is Derrick Henry's coming back this week, potentially. He might play the last week of the season. But the motherfucker was out the whole fantasy football season. But you know what hurts worse, Pete?
What?
I had 2 early picks, and my first 2 picks in the first round were Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb. I passed on Devontae Adams, and then later I passed on Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase. So really, this was a GM era. This loss was on me. That championship, I had the perfect roster. Everything worked out in my favor. Even after I traded a monster trade and gave away DeAndre Swift, I pretty much got the most out of him and then traded him. And then I traded Keenan Allen. Shout out to Brandon. I beat him. Shout out to Jordan. I beat him too. I beat
man.
Two number one teams
I just killed the fucking waiver wires, bro. Like, that's really where I made.
I got Amon-Ra St. Brown on the waiver wires, and he gave me 35
Renfro
points.
on the waiver wire. I got Hollywood Brown at the waiver wire. I got Chuba Hubbard when he was playing good on the waiver wire.
So like 2 games.
Yeah, Tony Pollard when he was playing good. So like 2 games.
I had T.J. Hawkinson. He was T.J. Hawkinson will give you 15 points every week.
Waivers at one point.
Bro, Darren Waller let me down, but then Foster Moreau. A.J. Dillon. See, I like what the Packers did with A.J. Dillon because he actually has almost the same amount of carries as Aaron Jones this year. They have about almost the same amount of yards. Can you believe that? And I think Aaron Jones has has more receiving touchdowns, but A.J. Dillon has more rushing touchdowns. Like, they really gave Aaron Rodgers the perfect running back situation because that's great production from 2 guys. So I'm definitely taking A.J. Dillon every year.
All right, we spent way too much time on fantasy, so
but yeah, everybody who didn't, if you didn't beat me in fantasy football in the title game, when it comes to fantasy shit, I'm your fucking father. And shout out to Eric, wherever you are out there. I know you'd be proud that I won $100 in my paid fantasy league, even though I lost the title game. But it happens, you know.
That's straight. You made your money back and some.
Yep.
So
I won $50.
Cool.
I won $50, but you know.
Now next year, you're going
next year I'm killing you niggas. Leagues. Next year I'm killing you in front of your families.
Do all paid
in fantasy
leagues.
Football. Next year, nigga, you're gonna hate me.
Okay, so I lost $100.
I'm taking Devontae Adams with my first pick next year.
I lost $100. You lost $50. You made back $100. So
I gained 50.
This podcast is only down 50.
I mean, I'm up 50. You lost how much?
But the podcast is only down 50.
Yeah, but how much
collectively? The podcast is down 50.
Because you lost how much?
I lost 100. I lost 2 leagues.
Wait, so you lost 100? It was 100 to get
my leagues are winner. No, 50 each. I had 2 paid leagues.
So
okay. Winner takes all in that league.
Fuck, that hurts. Because, man, if I would have won that 400, or if I would have not got that 100 back and lost 50, and I could have won 400, that's a 350 difference, I would have cried a little bit.
Yeah, we don't even do the loser in the championship gets their money back.
Third place gets $50.
That was very controversial. We had a lot of arguments about that, and I was just like,
you had to do it because of COVID. You have to do it because COVID, because it's not fair, bro. Like, it's cats who only won because my whole fucking roster was sick.
All right, man, so let's move on to the playoff picture of actual fucking real life. Bunch of shit got ironed out last week. Raiders won. The Chargers won. I was at that game. My dad. It was a fun time. Who else won? Steelers won. The Colts won.
Who'd they play?
Where did they?
Didn't they play the Raiders?
No, they played the Cardinals.
No,
you're right.
You're right. They lost. I was watching Hard Knocks.
Yeah, you're right. They lost
before I got here.
Yeah. You're right. My bad. So basically,
Dallas definitely won.
Basically, there's 3 teams right now.
Actually, Dallas lost to Arizona.
4 teams right now in the mix for the final AFC wildcard spot, or two of the 3 wildcard spots. The Patriots or Bills have one of the wildcard spots. Chiefs won the division. Bengals won their division. Titans won their division. After that, the Colts are in the mix at 9-7. Raiders are in the mix at 9-7. Chargers are in the mix at 9-7. Steelers are in the mix at 8-7-1. Basically, the Colts are most likely going to get in if they win.
They have to.
And then either the Chargers and the Raiders can both get in if they tie,
which is beautiful.
And I think the Colts have to lose, too. Who are the Colts playing? Titans? Jaguars.
No, Titans are playing
which they haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014, which is a weird fucking stat.
If you think about it, it makes sense because Jalen Ramsey, that's when Jacksonville was a QB away from a Super Bowl.
That was like 2017, though, bro.
Even then.
You're telling me you haven't won in Jacksonville in 6 years?
Andrew Luck was hurt.
Holy shit, that's a lot,
Andrew
bro.
Luck was hurt, too.
That's a long time to not be a division foe at their home field. That's more than a decade. That's almost a decade, bro. That's 8 years. That's like if fucking Mikhail bought you up for 8 years, bro.
That would never happen.
That's what I'm saying.
Mikhail doesn't want to see me on the basketball court because he'd be like, wait, fat niggas move this well? And the J is nice. Don't get twisted. Don't let the weight fool you. It's actually a battering ram and a speed bump, so I don't go too fast.
But yeah, so as it is right now, it's looking like one of the AFC West teams, and probably the Colts are going to get in if they can win. If not, they lose. Both the AFC West teams can get in with a tie or win, and the Steelers can get in.
And shout out to Phil Robinson and Phil Jones from Unfiltered Truth, because I was in their chat room when they were after the game, and I was like, yeah, the Raiders could win, but who are they beating when they get in the playoffs? Because the Bengals will beat their shit senseless.
I'm not sure if the Chargers can either. They didn't look that good last week.
The Chargers play down to the Raiders, mostly because we have a better fan base.
The Chargers have kind of plateaued since like the middle of the season.
Mike Williams caught that touchdown and got hurt.
Down, and now they're looking back up.
They're an injured animal who has nothing left to lose. Nate Hobbs caught that DUI.
I think the crazy thing is both of these teams are known to like get your hopes up and make you believe, and then they both just shit the bed. Well, someone has to win. So it will probably come down to the Chargers missing a field goal. That's usually what happens when they go to the Raiders' house.
And it's funny because when you look at the Chargers, they're getting kind of healthy. Eckler does what he does. Herbert is leading them. Like, nobody wants to see the Chargers in the playoffs. I can guarantee you that. You don't want those problems. And they're a dome team, and they can travel on the road. Like, if they go to Indy, they'll be fine. Doesn't Indy still play in the dome?
Yeah.
So
the RCA Dome's still standing.
They can go to Indy, or Indy would go to them technically. Kansas City, I don't believe in Tennessee without Derrick Henry.
All right, moving to the NFC, we got the Cowboys, one division. The Rams will come down to this weekend, whether or not they beat the 49ers. They beat the 49ers, they win the division. If they lose and Arizona wins, I think Arizona wins it. The Packers clinch their division. The Buccaneers clinch their division. The only teams that are really fighting for the last wild card spot.
Eagles, Saints, Niners. No, the Eagles are already in.
The Eagles are in.
Saints and the Niners.
The Eagles and either the Cardinals or the Rams are going to have two of the wild cards. So then it's going to come down to the 49ers or the Saints. 49ers got to beat the Rams at the Rams, which they've done before. And the Saints have to beat the Falcons, which is kind of a toss-up because those two teams have... Well, they're one game apart. The Falcons lost a bunch of games early by a few points. The Saints had a bunch of injuries and just got fucking lost. It's in Atlanta. It's a division game, so it could go either way. Just depending on who fucking has the better breakfast. I don't know. What do you think? Who do you think is going to win that game?
For the NFC? Because the Cardinals are playing who again?
The Cardinals are playing the Seahawks?
Yeah, the Cardinals are definitely going to get that win unless
Yes,
Seattle says. Unless Seattle has one last hurrah, but it's it for Seattle. I don't see how Russ could end up staying there. Like, if he goes to Denver, which is the perfect spot, that's the Super Bowl contender. Because their defense is pretty
I like that move.
But, like, They don't have any first-round picks, but Denver has first-round picks.
Like that move.
So, NFC West to AFC West.
Okay, so you still didn't answer the question. Who do you like? You like the Saints or the Falcons?
I think the Falcons.
In Atlanta.
I think the Falcons upset him. Kyler Pitts already has 1,000 yards receiving. He's only, other than Mike Ditka, he's the only tight end in NFL history.
So I think even if the Saints lose and the Falcons and the 49ers lose, the 49ers get in still. So, but if they win, they're in. So who do you like in that game, 49ers or Rams?
If Garoppolo,
in LA. A lot of 49er fans are acting kind of scary, I'm not going to lie.
Don't flinch.
Why are y'all afraid to watch your team lose?
Because Niners fans
Go have a good time, man.
Niners fans like to sucker punch you with their fandom and then disappear when the team is really trash. Nah, we outside every day as a fan base.
Hey, shout out to my homie Akeem, who's a 49er fan. Dude was like, I don't like the end zone. I was like, yeah, you're not a football fan, bro.
You don't like that? That's the best seat in the house.
Well,
if I had the money, I'd go to the game.
Like, you don't like you don't like football.
It's okay.
But I get it. I mean, I don't really like behind the basket for basketball.
What'd you say to me in college one time about music concerts? The best place is usually to the left, right by the speaker.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of at everything.
So if you're not in the middle of the field, the best place is in the end zones.
Yeah. I mean, I like the end zone because I like that view. I like to see the lines.
Drunk.
I like to see the lines. I like to be able to get a nice video of someone scoring your touchdown or a goal line stop.
Like Sue.
Yeah. And then you're also there if they fucking throw a football or some shit in the stands. You're right there. And it's usually cheaper to sit in the end zone lower than it is to sit in the middle higher.
That's the beauty of it.
So I'd rather sit lower. You can get 100
seats for like 300, almost 400.
Yeah, which is like the same cost as like a 300 in the middle or a 200 in the middle, like a high 200.
I'll take end zone every time.
I mean, I would too. But
shout out to JD. He hooked me up with those seats.
All right, last one. We already kind of talked about it, but Raiders Chargers. Are you gonna make a pick?
Do I have to?
I mean, might as well. Sports Talk Radio, right? Chargers.
Derek Carr has to actually show me something before I just believe in him. I have no blind faith left in Derek Carr or this offense. If Darren Waller comes back, he comes back. I don't know.
And Steelers Ravens.
I just think the Ravens with Tyler Huntley, he's not Lamar.
Can they still get in?
They have to win and hope for a lot of people to lose. But like the Ravens, if they don't make the playoffs,
they can get in because even if they beat the Steelers, they lost to the Raiders. Still have a better record because the Steelers
tied, and they lost to the Raiders already. So that's the Ravens have none to be ashamed of this season. Their backups played like stars at some point.
I mean, that's been the Ravens for like 2 years.
Nah, but like it's different. Like they didn't have all these injuries. Man, I think San Diego, Justin Herbert is not going to let Derek Carr outplay him. And I don't see anybody on the Raiders defense who's going to do anything special. Yannick has what, 9.5, 10 sacks? No one cares. Crosby got the Pro Bowl nod. Because he's white and has a great story, I guess.
Well,
Felix?
They're division games, so like Kitty said, it's going to be a body bag game. All of them.
But here's the thing. Actually, no, I'll save that for touchdown. Turnover.
College football is in session.
All right, y'all. I was going to save this one last, but I'm going to just get to it first.
You like that setup, though. That was nice, huh?
It was nice. Good shit. You're learning. So Kirk Herbstreit decided to be on some bullshit. Desmond Howard too, but Desmond Howard, I'm gonna let him go because when he said, "Does Desmond Howard have to choke a bitch?" and didn't get fired for it, I was like, I respect that.
How about that college announcer that was like, "Oh, he pulled the trigger like his dad"?
Oh, he's talking about Kevin Porter Jr.
Oh yeah, that was NBA.
That was NBA.
Yeah, that was NBA.
Yeah, I'm all for certain media people getting the fuck beat out of them. Journalists, so-called media people. Some of y'all need to get beat up by the athletes you talk shit about.
I mean, like
you need to get really fucked up. Old white dudes.
If I made that joke to you like 20 years after the fact, then maybe we could laugh about it. But like, because I know you, and that shit was like 20 years ago.
That's some white dude who said something real fucked up. Like, what if your daughter had cancer and I made fun of it, bitch? Like, would that be funny? No. This man lost his father to gun violence. And you only did it because you were white. Because a black dude ain't. And now, you have never heard a black announcer say some shit like that. White announcers.
I just think if you're gonna say it,
get away with that shit.
Then you gotta be able to run that. You gotta be ready to run the fade. That's all.
You gotta run the fade. I get to punch your wife in the face and you can't say shit, bitch. I should be able to shoot you with a fucking pellet gun after the game. Be like, oh, since you want to make gun references, let's tote pistols. Since you want to be that guy, I don't like shit like that, bro. I don't like old white dudes in media who can get away with that only because they're white. Because you can't go on TV and say that, bro. They'll fire your ass.
Shout out to
you'll be a Mexican real quick. They'll bring it up. They'll harp on it real fast.
Shout out to Felix Reyes in the chat. He said, "Boat up," and he said they got Kenny hot. Yeah, they do.
Like
he one biscuit away from. What did he say?
Why you
not the league? Somebody else said that.
Bro, don't make fat jokes. You're not good at them. You're fat. You're not good at fat jokes. I'm good at fat jokes.
Nah, y'all be playing Zion though. That's fucked up. Honestly, you guys got to run Zion's fade too. This nigga got
diabetes, bro. No, this nigga got diabetes over here, elephantitis. How are you not working out all day long? If you're Zion, all you should be doing is running and lifting.
Everybody said when he goes to the South, that's what's gonna happen.
Nah, man, that's fucking.
I'm not gonna say the G word on this podcast because I know it's
what G word.
A salty subject right now.
Motherfucker, if you throw away that gumbo, I'm gonna fuck you up. If you don't want the gumbo, just give me back the motherfucking gumbo. But you're not gonna throw away gumbo I gave you. At least let your girl try it.
That's why Zion's big, bro. He can't turn down no free food. Walking down Bourbon Street getting fed. You gonna say no?
You a pro athlete making millions of dollars. Chad Johnson can eat whatever the fuck he wants. And yeah, he has that metabolism, but what did Cam Newton say? I know myself, therefore, certain things I can't eat. With Zion, dog, you're going to be a different person in 3 years. You're either going to be 470 pounds or you could be a solid 280.
He could play right tackle for the Raiders.
He could play fucking
He could play right tackle for the Raiders. He could play defensive end right now
for the Raiders. Nah, fuck it. I don't need him playing right tackle. A guy like Zion, you don't want him going backwards. You want him going forwards. So my thing is Zion could be a tight end.
I guess, but he's a big ass wall that you got to get around. So and he's athletic and moves like a fucking dancing receiver. Bear.
So I'm putting him at tight end or fucking defensive end. Have fun with that, or D tackle. And slanting him all game.
All right, back to college football. Sorry.
But yeah.
I digress
too. So fuck that announcer and his family, especially his mother for giving birth to him. Because you wouldn't say that shit to his face. I'm telling you, dude. I give white people zero fucking less than -0 room to breathe for the foul shit they say about black people and other people in society, because you get away with it. You've been getting away with it this entire fucking time, and my ancestors just won't let me not call you a punk ass bitch for it, and I'll say it to your face, like straight up. That's why I have white friends. I don't really fuck with older white people like that, because I know if I go far back enough, my grandmother or my grandfather probably smacked the shit out of somebody like you. And I think he should be fired and he should have his livelihood taken away from him for saying that shit about Kevin Porter Jr. It was uncalled for. It was crass. Nah, fire his ass and put a black person in his place. That'll make me feel better. Then you can square it. There's plenty of talented black dudes who can call games. Fire his bitch ass and get him out. Shout out to Rachel Nichols finishing her buyout at ESPN, so now she's a free agent. Good riddance. Good fucking riddance. I had to get that shot in because good fucking riddance. Shout out to Maria Taylor, living her best life. Congrats. Now ESPN out here looking stupid. Boy, how hard is it to just like not have racist motherfuckers working for you?
Who did Whitlock call out this week?
Nobody cares about Whitlock. If he dies, we would probably all throw a party.
Oh, he tried to drag Mina.
No, he tried to drag somebody else.
Fuck out of Mina.
He tried to say something slick about Mina, and I was like,
"Dog, you taking it too far."
I was like, "Really? You can't beat anybody else. Why do you think you gonna like? We like Mina, and she could fillet you." Jason. She said,
"I like Mina as a person."
Yeah,
as a person.
I was like,
but the only validation I'll give him is the point of like where
Aaron
he was
Rodgers'
like,
story was good.
You've been pushed out on everyone, and we've had enough.
Wait, say it again.
He made a point of like, oh, you've been pushed out. Like
to an extent, she has. But if people like her, she knows enough about.
But I wouldn't say she doesn't know football because she's a woman.
That's what I'm saying.
That was a lot.
If you're pushing she's
that
Asian.
Was a lot. Bro.
If you're pushing the Asian angle,
that was a lot, dude.
Are you pushing the she's a woman angle? But it's like you're a fat black dude who played football and still nobody cares about you. And then she said something like, or she didn't say.
Well, he tried to drag Maria Taylor too last year.
Yeah, how'd that fucking work? Everybody, bro, it's better to just pretend like Jason Whitlock doesn't exist. Shout out to Just a Dope Ass Podcast. They were like, how does Kenny not have a job in fucking sports media? Like, just put him on a show with Jason Whitlock. It's like he said they're like it would be
fatter.
Fatter Jason. No, debates, not diabetes, debates.
He said debates. Are you kidding me?
$1 million ideas.
Shit.
Like not all fat black dudes are built the same.
You gotta have an ankle cam. You gotta have an ankle cam. Oh, like whose ankles are more swollen today?
No, who has more flexibility in their ankle? I'm like, well, I had a severe ankle injury in high school and I broke my right ankle when I was 12.
Just don't wear no fucking fedora on set, or I will come backstage and pimp slap you.
Bro, if you ever see me wearing a fedora, I probably got a kid, and like not only do I probably have a kid, but like Isaiah's probably like a multi-million-dollar in the fucking tech industry or in NFL. I'm just wearing whatever the fuck. I'm just wearing shit to wear it because I got so much money tucked away somewhere. If you see me out here just rocking fedoras for no reason, especially if I'm not wearing a suit, but I'm just wearing jeans and a fedora. But yeah, they were like, Kenny would just eviscerate him just on like his everyday, like how he chooses food, how he like chews gum, how he parallel parks. Like, does he, like, when he sits down, does he go, oh.
You should just.
Some fat people, when they sit down, they're like relieved. That's what they were saying. I was like, I could do it, but then I was like, I was like, this is what Mina Kime said. She said, don't pay any attention to him. Now you're going to he's going to go from 5 readers to 10. And I was like, she did it for me. Nobody like.
Dog, how you get outwitted by the quiet Asian reporter that you came at for no reason? But
I will say this.
You got reversed, bro.
I will say this. She wasn't one of those people where like she always pretended she was white and then said I'm Asian. No, she always talked about being Asian. That's what I can respect. Like, own up to what you are and who you are. But don't make a big fucking deal about it when you're doing your job.
And she made her money as an actual reporter.
She went to Harvard.
She was a Bloomberg reporter.
It helps that she went to Harvard, too.
And
she went to Harvard.
Yeah, her story's pretty crazy. Like, she was just in an elevator at the fucking Super Bowl.
Felix, we're going to have you play middle linebacker in a 3-4 defense. Or edge rusher.
Yeah, but she was
I've seen you dance, so I know you got some wiggle on the edge. That's why, like,
she was doing.
We don't want to waste you at nose tackle.
She was doing like a business of sports fucking.
Yeah, that was her
thing
background.
At the Super Bowl, and then she was just a straight business reporter, and they knew that she liked football, and they were like, "Hey, you want to do this business of sport at the Super Bowl?"
And that's how
she went, and then she got into the elevator with someone at fucking ESPN, and was like, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, I'm at Bloomberg." "Well, why are you here?" "Because I'm passionate about football, and I also am a great reporter." And they're like, "Oh, well, we're gonna hire you."
Yeah, it's nice when it happens like that. But anyway. Back to
That's why when you get in those rooms and you get that access, you
gotta leave the door open for people.
Like, and leave the room.
Wait, what?
And leave the room.
You have to leave the door open and then leave the room?
Yeah, you got to get out there.
Wait, but you're already out there, so why would you leave the room?
That's what I'm saying. You got to get out there.
Okay, I get you telling me that. I get you telling me that. I see what you did there. I see that little spot that Into the Spider-Verse thing you dropped. But all right, so to actually talk about college
Don't
football,
forget your camera.
Okay, you're gonna stop throwing subliminal shade right now. Let me get through this fucking segment and stop throwing subliminal shade right now. Okay.
That shit was funny though.
It was hilarious. I laughed so hard. But yeah, so Kirk Herbstreit decided to be on some bullshit, and again, another example of white dudes in media feeling way too comfortable to say some shit and not getting checked for it or punched in the mouth. But this is different because Desmond Howard and him, after Utah lost and had a valiant effort against Ohio State, but fucking Jackson Smith, I don't know how to say his last name. I think he might be Nigerian, possibly. All I know is dude had 15 catches, 347 yards, 3 touchdowns. It might have been 4. I think it was 3. 3 touchdowns against Utah by himself in the Rose Bowl. Really thought shout out to Cameron Rising. He surprised me. Like Curtis Poindexter, he went to CSUN with us. He covered him in high school, and so that's how I knew about him. And then when I saw, like, okay, he ended up getting a starting job, and then he broke off that long ass touchdown run in the Rose Bowl. I was like, all right. Mans can play. Utah didn't come to fuck around. Their running back coach got hired by USC, though. USC, literally, Lincoln Riley, all their staff is under 50 years old. They're like between 32 and like 48.
Wait, hold on. Elam said he's in the chat right now. Let's see what he got to say.
You got to scroll down. Unless he's on StreamYard.
I think he's in the other one.
But yeah. So when it comes to,
oh shit, he is in here.
Yeah, AB is misunderstood. Definitely start scouting now. Niners aren't scared, but y'all definitely be hiding. Eric, you're one of the few Niners fans that I know who actually be outside. Most Niners fans cower for a couple of years. They disappeared.
But they'll show up in a fresh ass
when Kaepernick
Nick
started
Bosa
kneeling,
jersey.
A lot of Niners fans disappeared. Let's talk about it.
But then y'all showed up with a fresh Nick Bosa jersey to the Super Bowl.
Wait, Cole
with fucking raisins in the potato salad.
I don't know who Cole is, but
he's talking about Cole Beasley.
Oh yeah.
Because he said he was fined $1 million. He corrected you.
My bad. But $100K feels like $1 million when your team's probably going to lose in the first round. Buffalo Bills. But yeah, so it comes to Kirk Herbstreit, and Desmond Howard pretty much are like, this era of football players just don't care because like 70 guys opted out.
Dog, nobody cares about your show. This era of viewers don't care about your show. How about that?
Nobody my age gives a fuck about Kirk Herbstreit's college career. We barely knew he had one. Shout out to Cam Worrell. I think he's a coach.
I actually had to educate him on.
I didn't. Yeah, I was like, was he good? Well, okay. I mean, yeah. Apparently, he was like had a bunch of concussions in the NFL and had to retire. But guess what? Where did he get drafted? Tell me where Kirk Herbstreit got drafted. Please tell me. But yeah. Apparently, Cam Worrell said he played at Cal. He was like, Kirk Herbstreit had like 5 touchdowns and 11 career interceptions, and he's talking about these kids. Like, bro, if you were a QB now, you wouldn't even be that good.
The funny thing is, though,
you wouldn't be good enough to even opt out. So, like, you shitting on kids who actually have a chance to go make millions. Everybody's like, how are you going to be
The funny thing is, though, like, Herbstreit's also slandered, like, youth football. Oh, yeah. Like, about concussions and Pop Warner and stuff like that. So it's like,
why you have this take about this, but that take about that? Yeah. It doesn't match up. So it's like, did they just tell you to say something stupid to get heat? Because it's like, I think
he was also the first one to, like, be a part of the lawsuit. I think that's his other thing.
Probably. Because, like, outside of the 10 years he's been on ESPN, I never followed his playing career. I had no reason to.
Sons went to Clemson.
Okay, but he went to Ohio State, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ohio State QBs.
I don't think he played. I think he just went to Clemson.
No, I'm talking about him. He went to Ohio State.
Yeah, he got knocked out versus Michigan, which I'm watching right now.
Could you just look up his career stats for me for nuance? Because Desmond Howard...
Okay, but don't do that shit where you shit on his stats because he's from the 90s at Michigan, so I can't imagine... I mean, at Ohio State, I can't imagine they're that great.
Oh, so that makes what he said even stupider because, like, you weren't even good enough to opt out when you played. So these opting out rules don't apply to you, bro. Like, why are you shitting on... Like, you shitting on a tier of athlete that you weren't. Now, some might say, well, you guys do a football podcast and you guys weren't those tier athletes. Yeah, but we don't shit on those people. We just give you the honest truth based on, like, hey.
Nah, you kind of shitted on a couple people this episode.
Oh, no, I definitely shitted on a couple people personally. Like A.J. Brown. Whoa. A.J. Brown definitely cost me a fantasy football championship. I should look up his stats, not how he got knocked the fuck out. I know he got knocked the fuck out a couple times.
I think this is the last one.
All I'm saying is a dude whose career got ended because of injury. Now, David Pollock, that dude's All-American. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame.
And he got smacked on.
Yeah. Like, history won't remember his name as far as college football playing. They won't. So that's my point. You can't sit up here and shit on all these athletes like Matt Corral, who probably could almost torn his ACL or broke his ankle when he got hurt against Baylor, and Lane Kiffin kept him out. His X-rays were negative. There's plenty of guys in bowl games who have gotten hurt. Jalen Smith has never really been the same since his knee got destroyed against Ohio State. But what was he playing for? Pride, the university that gets billions of dollars in endowments, and he didn't see a fucking dime of it? Nah, get your money. Shout out to Marcus Williamson, which, by the way, that kind of feeds into the next story. Another former Ohio State player, graduated 3.5 years. During the Rose Bowl, he had a whole thread about how Urban Meyer's bitch ass had a photo up of Trayvon Martin, in a hoodie because he had a no hoodie policy. But and he said in his thread, Urban Meyer told me as a freshman because he was an early enrollee, if I catch you wearing a hoodie, I will ruin your fucking life.
By the way,
you can go look up Marcus Williams.
On something else to piss you off, Fowler and Herbstreit are going to be calling an NFL game this week.
I don't care. I don't give a shit. I'd rather hear Gus Johnson, but whatever. So you break down what Kirk Herbstreit and Desmond Howard were saying, that the level of entitlement. No, college athletes actually own their names now, and you can't pimp and prostitute them like most of these schools do. So now they can get money off their name and likeness. Essentially, college is a minor league for the pros. You can't get around that. If there was no college football, nobody could play in the NFL like that. If there was no college football, Jerry Rice would have never existed. Adrian Peterson probably would have made it to the league. Calvin Johnson, not so much. Thank you, Lamb. If you're an NFL prospect, you protect your brand. Because guess what? Destroying YouTube star. He's pretty much, I wouldn't say black. You could almost say he's blackballed from the NFL because he's a YouTuber and he is really talented and athletic. I think he ran like a 4.5 at Brandon Marshall's I Am Athlete Pro Day. He ran a really good 40 time. super athletic, can kick, can punt, but can't get any looks in the NFL. Because I guess they don't want kickers and punters to have personality. Especially black kickers and punters. So when you factor in the fact that, like 80 or 90 guys in total probably opted out for these bowl games, guess what? Ohio State clearly didn't need Chris Olave, that tackle, and fucking Garrett Wilson.
I think the solution,
because they had 3 5-star receivers. Marvin Harrison Jr. had 3 touchdowns in the Rose Bowl. Fuck off my face. Fuck out of my face.
I think the solution is you just get rid of the bowl games and just make a playoff.
But that you can't have a 120 team playoff. It's not like the FBC.
A 60.
It's not like the FCS. It's not like Division 2.
You can do 60.
No, you can't. That's
you can do
horrible.
30. You can do 16.
Bro.
You can do more than fucking 4.
You want to... Why? So all the SEC teams can get in? So Bama can duck playing somebody actually good enough? Like, you should never have 2 teams from the same conference in the national title game, bro. Georgia and Alabama should have been forced to play each other the first week. And then Michigan or Cincinnati. And then if Alabama beats the shit out of Michigan or Cincinnati, okay. But that's not fair that 2 teams from the same division.
So you're telling me...
One team didn't win their conference, but they're...
Okay,
Georgia
can we at least do 8? 12?
It's just going to be SEC teams. Did you look at the fucking... It's just like, you can have 8 teams or 7 teams with the number one being a bot,
But can you keep some of the same bowl rules of like, okay, this team gets an automatic... These teams get an automatic bid.
So then that makes the regular...
You win your conference, you get an automatic bid.
So then all the bowl games are useless, and all the money they make off them are useless.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why cats are opting out of these bowl games.
Get rid of it. Get rid of the bowl games and just make a playoff. That's the only way to make it meaningful and get the players to play.
Then you lose money for a school like Louisiana, who wasn't going to ever get a big-time bowl game, but they won 12 games or 13 games in the season, which is the first. Baylor won 12 games for the first time ever, school record, in the season. Like,
okay, well then
that means something.
Can you
to the
have
school.
2 playoffs? Can you have a national championship and just a fucking playoff?
No, you can't. You can't. The Rose Bowl pretty much is like an eliminator, but the Rose Bowl is still the Rose Bowl. See, Kirk Herbstreit, why his comments are so problematic and stupid is because you make millions of dollars, and yes, you make millions of dollars. We can audit it. You make millions of dollars. Talking about... And Petros Papadakis from Petros and Money, they talked about it. They said, you can't sit up here and we're talking about a random bowl game and you're shoving the playoff down our throat and just ignoring the game that we're watching, but keep shoving it down my throat that the playoff matters. Michigan should have not been number 1. You need to be drug tested. Michigan should have not been number 1. They should have been number 2.
That number 1 pick got ate up by the tackle that whole game.
Yeah, but I mean, he reminds me of Clay Matthews a little bit. But
he does not remind me of Clay Matthews.
Do you remember Clay Matthews coming out of college? He wasn't Clay Matthews.
He was more explosive than that.
He was explosive, but Clay Matthews kind of had a similar body type. I don't think Hutchinson is necessarily going to be.
I feel like Hutchinson is bigger.
A little bit. I don't think Hutchinson can put his hand in the dirt and be a
4-3
good defensive end.
Sophomore year, trash last year, and then good again this year.
Something like that. But
okay, you're on the first college football part.
Yeah. So when it comes to college football, right? You can't sit up here and have ESPN talking about all this money or all this importance of the college football playoff. Wow, a fucking Idaho potato famine bowl is going on. It's not potato famine. I was being facetious. Or the mayonnaise bowl. I'm like, bro, we just give touchdowns and tangents the money to just give you all the naming rights for these bowl games. Because some of these bowl games are stupid. Just fucking dumb.
The Subway footlong bowl.
There needs to be a Quiznos or Togo's poke. There needs to be a... Yeah, wow. There could be a Togo's bowl. There needs to be a Raising Cane's bowl.
Fuck would there be a Togo's bowl?
Togo's is fire. You better watch your fucking mouth. A Quiznos.
Fucking Togo's, bro.
It's sprinkled somewhere. Like, Give me a hood Chinese bowl. Give me a Mongolian barbecue bowl. Give me a bowl with a name from shit that we actually want. Let me get a fucking
Backwoods bowl.
Let me get a
sweet bowl.
Let me get a smoke and a pancake bowl. Please don't come up with a Magnum bowl. That's
the Roscoe's bowl.
I would play in the Roscoe's bowl. Shit.
Put it at the Dignity Health right here.
Carson. Let me get the Bompton bowl.
Wow. Can you say that?
And then unite gangs at halftime.
Can you say that? YG's people might be waiting downstairs.
Don't name it. Don't name it the Grapefruit or Grape Street. Just stay away from the name Grape for bowl games. So like the Sunkist Grape Soda Bowl, don't do that. Don't do that at all.
The Cactus Cooler Bowl.
That would be kind of fun. They should rename that for Arizona.
Arizona, yeah.
I would want some Cactus Cooler in Arizona because it's dry as fuck out there. We can have a Catfish Bowl. We could have
the Lifestyles Bowl.
Exactly.
The Durex Bowl.
What's it called? It's in the Krispy Kreme's Bowl.
I think that's one. I feel like
there's no way there's a Krispy Kreme's Bowl.
Maybe it's not. I don't know.
Because if there is,
I feel like there would be one.
Their marketing is shitty and they need to hire.
Is there a Dunkin' Donuts one?
There should be. There probably isn't. Can I get a Chinese donut shop bowl? A massage bowl?
Yeah,
is that going to be too problematic?
That's in Houston. The Deshaun Bowl.
Houston in South Carolina.
The Deshaun Bowl.
The Muscle Relaxer Bowl.
The best team from the Carolinas and the best team from the Texas. That didn't make a better bowl.
The Bick and Back Me and Boo Bowl.
Texas State and South Carolina State. The Deshaun Watson Bowl.
The We Can't Have Rap Concerts in LA Bowl.
The OVO Bowl.
Wait, I got one. The Nobody Listens to J. Cole on Friday Bowl. The Eminem Bowl. But Eminem.
The Triller Verzo's Bowl.
The You Got Knocked Out by a Pro Fighter. By the way.
The Big Three Bowl.
That's definitely a lawsuit. But you know that like Sports Illustrated.
I mean, Ice Cube could sponsor it.
That is true. In LA.
Big Three Bowl, that'd be tight.
Instead of the
That's better than Jimmy Kimmel.
It really was. I was there. They shot a fucking cannon into the part of the stadium nobody was sitting in.
You had fun though.
That was fun as fuck.
All right, let's get through college football.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So again, we just named all these different bowl games. See, there's a method to our madness. All these bowl games that make all this money, but you only want to talk about the playoff because Georgia clapped Michigan.
Damn, you took XFL out the rundown? I'm shocked.
Because there's nothing to talk about with the XFL. The USFL was the bigger news, but like the XFL and all that.
But like for 6 months, you were literally talking about everything.
But nothing has happened with the XFL, so why would I talk about it?
He said that the XFL is a year away. He was like, a year from now, training camp will be opening for the XFL.
But
did you miss that?
That's common knowledge.
Is that
he said it's coming back in 2023.
He said a year from today, so he gave it a date, a deadline,
okay,
an actual date.
Okay. And the closer we get to it, I'll talk about it.
Okay.
But there's nothing to talk about.
I'm going to remember that when you're talking about the XFL every time the fucking Rock tweets.
Yep.
Because there was like a cool 3-month period where you were fucking doing that.
Hey, man. It got us to this point, didn't it? And you know what else is going to get us to the next hump? Elmo talking about Rocco, because fuck Rocco. Rocco K. No, I'm just kidding. But shout out to Elmo. But, yeah. So you talk about all these
Rocco's
bowls.
Modern Life Bowl?
Exactly. The Elmo's World Bowl, the Sesame Street Bowl,
the Nate Robinson got knocked out bowl,
the Tyron Woodley I'm still liking all Jake Paul's picks bowl, and I got a tattoo for it bowl,
the Antonio Brown Bowl,
the Bum Ankle Bowl, where you just give out medical,
the Crypto Chamber Bowl,
the Cryptocurrency Bowl.
I'm sure that's one.
The Passion Fruit Bowl.
All right, fuck college football.
But yeah, notice how like all those names for bowls, because they're so interchangeable and hilarious, they make money. Even the ones that got canceled, they still make money, and they have a long-standing name. And even though cats who have no desire to play in that game because they don't want to get hurt. Like when Christian McCaffrey sat out his bowl game and Solomon Thomas ended up having a big game, and that's how he became the second overall pick. And Leonard Fournette sat out, and Darius Weiss had no problem playing great that day. Yeah, you recruit for a reason. And these cats deserve the right to sit out and protect themselves. So all that other shit is stupid. And Georgia...
That's fair. That's a good point.
So that's why Kirk Herbstreit's point makes no fucking sense. You're not going to put money in any of the pockets of the people you're talking bad about. So why don't you shut your lame ass up? Because you were not a good NFL prospect. You don't even meet the criteria to talk the shit about the cats that you're talking about. Matt Corral was a better QB than you. Every QB in this draft class was a better QB than you. So you're not really the one I need to be hearing from. Desmond Howard, okay, I disagree with you, but you actually won a fucking Heisman. You won a national championship. You won, I don't know, a Super Bowl. Like, you have more credence to speak. Kirk Herbstreit, you got too much blood money on your hands, dog. ESPN helped create the playoff. If that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what the fuck is. And then you're going to sit up here and say, all you kids who, if you were playing, we would get higher ratings. You guys just don't love football as much this generation. No, we just know that you're pimping us and making money off us from fucking Little League and Pop Warner till now. You're all making money off us our entire lives. We want in on the action. Fuck you, pay me. So yeah, there's that.
Gotta pay to play.
Exactly. Fuck you, pay me. Like, if I do a service, you have to pay me.
We were doing good on time.
You set me off. That's your fault. I'm almost done. Don't worry. So Derek Stingley is declaring for the draft, top corner in the draft. Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati, who hasn't given up a touchdown in 3 years. He's gotten picks, though. Don't worry about it. He's not like most Clemson corners. Yeah, so pretty much Michigan starting running back, Hassan Haskins, he declared. Aiden Hutchinson declared. Their safety, Dexter Hall, or Dexter, I forget his last name, but he declared. Caleb Williams, the Oklahoma QB, is in the transfer portal. And Charlie Batch.
There's like 1,400 players in the transfer portal.
1,496, I think.
They said that's 67 starting offenses and defense. So essentially,
a whole team is in the transfer
portal.
Essentially,
half the NCAA is in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Hey, you got to pay to play, right? But yeah, Caleb Williams, who I think should just go to USC. It just makes sense. It makes too much sense. Because UCLA's tight end declared for the draft. But Caleb Williams could go anywhere. Not only that, what's his name? Charlie Batch out of Eastern Washington pretty much said, we got $1 million for you if you come to Eastern Washington. In NIL money. $1 million, cold hard cash. Cashish, moolah, Kuda. $1 million just to go. That's
Charlie
the floor.
Batch is a coach?
Probably, I think so. But the fact that he's just brought up $1 million to come to Eastern Washington for Caleb Williams. And it doesn't matter what school you go to, you can make it anywhere. That's just a known fact. Didn't Max Crosby go to Eastern Washington?
No,
Eastern Michigan, my bad. Yeah, because Charlie Batch went to Eastern Michigan, and Eastern Michigan, he pretty much offered him like, yo, I'll give you $1 million to come to Eastern Michigan. I'm just saying, cats have gone to Eastern Michigan and gone to the league. There's proof of it. And Max Crosby's one of those guys. And even though I think Caleb Williams, he might go back to OSU, but honestly, he might just go to USC. That would be the smarter move. They already run a spread offense. And they got a bunch of young-ass coaches. And he's better than Jackson Dart. So there's that. Auburn got Texas A&M transfer. Zach Calzada, who's originally from Georgia. He transferred to Auburn. Pac-12 got a couple more guys. Dylan, I forget his last name. Dylan Gabriel, who committed to UCLA, flip-flopped, and now he's going to Oklahoma because his offensive coordinator, QB coach at UCF, is now at Oklahoma. So he's went from UCLA to Oklahoma, and UCLA's lost a ton of guys to the transfer portal. Oh yeah, and another piece of shit coach who resurfaced for being a scumbag, Todd Graham, former Pitt coach, former Arizona State coach, now current Hawaii football coach. Like 20, almost 30 players have gone in the transfer portal. Apparently there's rumors of him calling players stupid, worthless pieces of shit, dog cussing them. His own son transferred. Yeah. His own son transferred. Who was like a linebacker / safety. And a bunch of guys are just leaving Hawaii. He's been known to kind of do this everywhere he's gone with no real fucking success of winning. We remember he had a couple nice years at Arizona State. And that was it. But yeah. Watch who you trust your kids with in college. Because a lot of these coaches are pieces of shit human beings. Todd Graham was on my list for a while. Especially how he did Pitt when he went to Arizona State. But Todd Graham's been on my piece of shit coat list for a while. He's about 2 or 3 spaces behind Urban. Urban gets the top spot. There's a special place in hell for people like Urban Meyer. Just saying. That may be controversial.
All right. Well, I dropped your PC3 from the rundown because you're taking forever.
Oh, yeah. Also, the Pac-12 went 0-5 in bowl games. You know who had the best winning percentage?
The Mountain West.
5-1. 5-1. PC3 needs to happen. Just saying. That's how you get all your shitty teams that can only win 4 to 5 games a year, up to 8 games a year. Pad their stats a little bit. That's what the SEC does.
All right. First up, the USFL hired 4 coaches. The league's set to launch pretty soon. So take your tangent on that, Kenny.
Ironically, another dude who is on my pseudo piece of shit coach list,
Mike
Todd
Riley?
Haley.
Oh.
Todd Haley did some foul shit. He's one of the coaches, former Arizona, Houston, Texas A&M coach. Kevin Sumlin is one of the coaches. Mike Riley, former USC, Oregon State coach, is on the list. I forget who that last dude is. And I don't know who that last dude is, but yeah, he's on the list. Yeah, I'm gonna just move this one from touchdown to turnover. But the second one,
Wait, so you don't got to take her tangent on it?
I mean, it's cool. It's cool they got their coaches, but
the other guys from the CFL.
We'll see. We'll see what happens with the roster and how that feels
Montana.
out.
Montana.
We'll come back in like 7 months and revisit the story when shit's more fleshed out. How about that? First they get their coaches. The question is, do they have the money to pay them? Isn't Steve Spurrier still owed money?
Is he?
By the way, shout out to Izzy. Salute to you. All right, I'm going to just move this one up. Mike Tomlin has 0 losing seasons in 15 years.
That is amazing. He's one of the greatest coaches of this generation. It shows what happens when you let color people in the door. They do great things.
Please don't say color. Say black.
Black.
If you mean black.
I meant people of color. But yeah, essentially black.
Because, I mean, I don't know any Indian dudes playing in the NFL.
So what does that mean?
Like, they're not a represented. They're not a represented group in the NFL.
What the fuck wormhole you're trying to go down right now?
No, what I'm saying, if you're talking about a group of people who don't fucking play football, it's not even a part of their custom. You're mentioning.
Whoa,
sir,
you're taking a lot of liberties right now.
Just say non-white people.
Just saying, you act like people don't play football on the reservation, dog.
If you just say non-white people, it's so much easier than saying fucking people of color, because white people can be people of color. Literally, like That doesn't separate shit. Just say non-white people. That's what you're really getting at when you say diversity. You're saying there's too many white people.
I didn't say diversity though.
I know, but I'm talking about to the aspect of representation. When people say diversity, they mean there's too many white people here and not enough of everybody else. So just say Mike Tomlin is a great representation of when you have non-white people running shit. If you get more non-white people running shit, you would see how diverse and talented the pool of non-white people are that you keep refusing to not hire. That just cuts straight to the point. That cuts straight to the point for me.
Yes, but it kind of...
I don't have time to say people of color. What the fuck does people of color mean?
It glosses over the... It glosses over the idea...
You're being PC? Just say you're being PC. It's okay.
So I think the reason why it's people of color is that it's people first and color second. I think that's the thing of it.
Because when my ancestors...
It's like your racial identity is not... The end all be all definer of who you are. You're still a person.
I mean...
You're a person of color.
If only America treated black people that way. But it doesn't, right?
Well, that's what it's supposed to be. That's what.
It never is.
That's what the word. That's why the word exists.
But who invented? I guarantee you, black people.
Anyways, the reason why I said it that way is because it's not just like, oh, you need to hire
non-white people.
Non-white people is that you have to let them be a coordinator. You have to interview them. You have to give them a chance to woo you and wow you. And once they do, you got to keep them and pay them and give them resources and let them have power. And that's what the Steelers have done.
Stop hiring your son-in-law.
That's what the Steelers have done with Tomlin. It's not just, they just hired somebody.
He was grown.
They didn't just hire a black coach. Like, they took a chance on a black coach, on a young black coach that really had no business in that interview at the time. A lot of people thought it was a reach, and it worked out instantly and long term wise as well.
Which is what I'm saying. You just cut straight to the point so people know what you mean. Not you per se, but people like to just cower behind labels. And it's like, bro, say what you want. Make your intentions known.
I think the thing is, though, when you
I want you to stop hiring.
I think when you say non-white, it has a certain connotation. Exactly.
No, it could be anybody.
Exactly, because a white person could say, I'm not white. And that's just is what it is.
No, white people.
But you could not be white, but that doesn't mean you're a person of color.
But there are white people. There are white people. It doesn't make sense because white people say they're people of color.
That's what I'm saying.
Black ancestor, yeah, because your family owned slaves.
But that's what I'm saying is like, just because you're non-white doesn't mean you're a person of color.
But person of color is like, I don't know where. Like this is like a. This term didn't exist.
Exactly. That's the point.
It didn't exist 5 years ago. It didn't exist when we were in college.
I just explained to you why.
I know, but I never liked the term ever. It just
okay. Would you like people of blackness better?
No,
is that better?
No, I would just say non-white people.
But that's what I'm saying is that's too like
because when a white person could just be like, I'm not a white person. Most of the coaches are white. All the owners
not a white person,
but all the owners are predominantly white.
And then a white person is like,
Jerry
I'm
Jones
not white.
is white as fuck. Like. We can go down.
I'm just
Mark
saying,
Davis,
white people could be like, I'm not white.
And that's when you commonly say, so what are you?
They'd be
What's your ethnicity?
You hired a coach.
You're Caucasian, right? If we break it down and you like, because white people like to hide behind, certain white people
we're all over the place, man. I'm trying to get out of here on time.
I'm just saying, like, miss me with the whole people of color shit. When you keep saying people of color, but then don't hire any people of color. You just hire white people who say, I'm Italian. I'm like, well, first off, and it's still a bunch of white dudes in here.
I don't get what point you're trying to make. You sound like you're just arguing semantics. That's really what I'm saying.
Eliminate people of color and just say, you need to hire more non-white people. Straight up. Give more non-white people a chance. You know, like the whole constant pool of white dudes.
But what I'm saying is someone could be not white.
Most of this country classifies
and not be people of color.
The country's 60% white, bro.
Who told you that stat?
Allegedly.
Who told you that stat? That's not true at all. That is not true at all, bro.
They classify on the census as white.
That's not true at all, bro. That's not true at all. First of all, Hispanics is the largest demographic in America. Second of all, the statistics don't even add up because if Latinos are 50%, black people are like 13 to 20%, and then those stats don't make up. And then
we're
Indians
arguing
like 1%.
Two different points, but we mean the same thing.
No,
because in the corporate world, it's predominantly white. Yes or no?
I mean, that's in anything.
Okay,
Everything
then. So then I can
white.
say non-white. Now, if you want to, take the argument to a different track,
but what I'm saying is,
not everybody calls himself white. I agree with you, but when it comes down to what people put down on paper, what's on their birth certificate, and all that shit, and how they classify themselves, most of this country considers itself white.
That's not true, bro. That's not true, though. That's not true at all.
Okay.
All the census data proves that. That's not true.
How many Mexican presidents in America have we had? None, right?
Okay, well, that has nothing to do. One black dude.
Everybody else has been white. The country's been run by predominantly white people most of the time. So when we say yes, when we break down workplace statistics and all that, obviously we don't see, okay, the country's all white.
I'm over this, bro. You're not listening.
I am listening.
You're not, bro.
Yes, I am.
You're not, because you're still saying the country's 60% white. It's not.
I said that.
It's factually not. They don't
white.
Identify as white.
Okay.
It's factually not true.
Okay.
Look at the census data, bro.
Sure. I know what you're saying, but I know what I see in police forces and all these different positions. It's always predominantly white people who are in power.
That doesn't mean that that's a different conversation than the whole population is 60% white. You could say they're overrepresented in positions of power. Yes. They're overrepresented in white collar jobs. Yes. Fine.
Okay, fine. I'll meet you there.
But that's different than, the population is 60% white, because that's not true.
I said identify.
People fill out the census themselves.
And a lot of people don't
fill out the census. People identify themselves at the census. The census, there's a million ways that they fill out census data.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. And I said I'll meet you there. I'm just saying, when it comes to positions of power and hiring, it's predominantly white. They can identify as white.
But I'm just saying, when you say hire more non-white people, you're leaving more leeway for white people to be like, oh, well, that's great. I'm not white, so thank you for hiring me.
I get what you're saying.
But then it's
if you're Caucasian,
but then it's like, okay, you're not white, fine, because you don't want to be defined as white, whatever, fuck it. But that doesn't make you a person of color. Do you see that distinction?
But you can have both those. You can be like,
but by saying a person of color, you can't say
you're not white because you're not a person of color.
By saying a person of color, you're acknowledging
that you're not white.
That you're not acknowledging the whiteness.
I get it.
You're acknowledging the color, the person of color.
Yes.
That they have something different that's better.
I'm just saying, close the loophole.
Then they're not that.
Yeah.
So you're giving power back to the whiteness of the society by saying, oh, just hire non-white people.
No, I'm saying close that loophole of like, oh, we hire people of all different nationalities, but most of your force is white. Most of your workforce is white.
I think the issue
you can't keep hiding behind.
I think
that,
the issue is
like diversity.
I think the issue is like the reason why we're using people of color now, and I don't even like the word. I don't even like to use it.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying.
But the reason why we use it is because
you don't have anything else.
Exactly. And not just that, but at least in the way that it's used in this country, race has been predominantly a conversation about black and white. So that's why the people of color is acknowledging it's not just black people who were from Africa and white people who are colonizers. Like, no, there's actually a whole spectrum of color.
And white people from other places that were colonizers who came here. Like Australia.
What does that have to do with anything?
I just wanted to make a dig at Iggy Azalea. Because I saw a picture of what she looked like before she got all the surgery and the fat ass. Dog, that shit will haunt your nightmares. That bitch was hideous, bro. But I get what you're saying. I just think we should just cut out a lot of that shit and just say what we mean. and provide context. And if we're wrong, accept being wrong and, correct it. Move on.
All right, so I don't know what this Mike Zimmer one is, so I'm skipping it.
No. It's actually really important because they drafted this dude pretty high.
All right, Mike Zimmer not wanting Kellen Mond to play with Kirk Cousins out with COVID versus the Packers.
Touchdown or turnover?
Touchdown or turnover.
I say it's a turnover because why would you draft a dude that high to have a backup knowing you have a Kirk Cousins?
Jordan Love?
No, but
Jordan Love?
Jordan Love's much better than Kellen Mond.
But Jordan Love didn't play last year.
Yeah, but he's not better than Jordan Love. Like Kellen Mond, he was the Senior Bowl MVP.
I'm just giving you an example.
No, but in this case, the Vikings have been terrible and mediocre for a couple of years now. Their defense falls off. Kirk Cousins just doesn't make the necessary throws. They're just constantly average.
Bro, Kirk Cousins was balling this year. You can't blame this year on him.
Bro,
this year was Dalvin Cook getting hurt.
No, they lost the game because he overthrew Justin Jefferson.
At one point, they lost 7 games by 1 touchdown.
Bro, there's a lot of throws that Kirk Cousins, how Derek Carr has really sexy stats, but then you realize he has 20 turnovers this year. It's the same thing with Kirk Cousins. He doesn't throw a lot of picks, but he doesn't really win you games.
Man. I'm tired.
Bro, that's why they're not in the playoffs, right?
Bro, halfway through the season, you were talking about Kirk Cousins was balling.
Bro, when was the last time the Vikings won 12
You
games
actually were on air saying Kirk Cousins was better than Derek Carr multiple times. You said that shit multiple times. I think if Kirk
Cousins was the Raiders QB the past 3 years, they would have been made the playoffs. But that's not my point because he doesn't really throw interceptions like that. But the fact that he's missed Justin Jefferson on some key games, the fact that they're injured, the fact that Mike Zimmer drafts his QB, Kirk Cousins is out, and you want to put the ball in the hands of not Kyle Sloter, but I forget some dude who already washed out in the NFL. His name's right there. I just can't remember it. But the fact that you wouldn't throw Kellen Mond in there, he told the reporter I see him every day. Why would I want to put him out there? It's well, why did you draft him if you weren't going to put him out there? You're not making the playoffs. You might as well see what he can do. You have a young QB. You have Cousins who.
Okay, bro, they're supposed to be fast, man.
Yeah. That's why I think it's a turnover. Because, why'd you draft him if you were going to not play him in a blowout and you're not making the playoffs because the Vikings got blown out by the Packers?
All right, next one. A journalist not voting Aaron Rodgers MVP because he's not getting vaccinated. Touchdown or turnover?
Turnover. Like Aaron Rodgers said, that dude's a bum. MVP, he said. So
I think it's also somebody else said it's the LeBron effect. You just get used to him being the best player.
It's not the LeBron effect because if that's the case, Tom Brady will win MVP every year. It feels the LeBron effect.
But that's what the
Aaron Rodgers is literally the best player.
But that's what the point is. LeBron is the best player and doesn't win the MVP every year because he's already won so many MVPs.
Mahomes could have won 3 MVPs in a row these past couple of years, or 2 MVPs in a row over Rodgers. There's other guys who could have won. Last year, Rodgers, 48 touchdowns, 4 picks. He's damn near almost there again this year with 36 and 4. And when he didn't play, you saw what the Packers were. My point is to only say because of the vaccination situation that had nothing to do with his on-the-field play, I'm not going to give him an on-the-field award. You should have your credentials taken from you, and you shouldn't be allowed to vote. That is some bummy shit to do, and that's why they just keep giving him fuel to prove why he should stay the way he is.
Dan Le Batard lost it for voting Deadspin, which was funny as fuck.
He voted Deadspin for what?
For Baseball Hall of Fame.
Ken Rosenthal got kicked off MLB Network for what he said about Robert Manfred. But I'm saying, in this case, you not voting for him.
Well, that was the year with Barry Bonds and shit where they didn't vote Barry Bonds in, and he was like, that's fucking stupid because everyone was doing steroids. And he was literally the best, and he was great before then, so how do you not vote him in?
And he might not make it in this time, which is fucked up. Baseball has stupid Hall of Fame rules, if you ask me.
All right, next one. Bobby Wagner says he wants to stay with the Seahawks. Touchdown or turnover?
Really? Was that a serious question?
Yeah, is it a touchdown or a turnover?
That's clearly a fucking turnover. Why would you? Of course he's going to say that. What else is he supposed to say? If he says, "Yeah, get me the fuck out of here," his trade value goes down.
He said he's optimistic about staying, meaning he wants to stay, but he doesn't know if they will keep him.
That's the political answer. He saw how Earl Thomas went out with a broken leg and a middle finger. He saw how everybody else before him went out. Of course he's going to be the diplomatic one. He negotiated his own contract. Of course you're going to say that. But it's a turnover because we know they're blowing that team up. They don't have a first-round pick.
Damn, what if Earl Thomas had like an AB moment? We didn't even know it.
Chuck Clark, when he punched Chuck Clark, Jalen Ramsey punched Taylor Rapp.
Jaron Reed got punched.
By who?
No, Jaron Reed punched Deron Payne. My bad.
No. That's a different guy.
No, he punched
Deron Payne punched...
No, Jared Allen punched Deron Payne. The Alabama teammates.
It wasn't Jared Allen. It was Deron Payne and... Fuck, I forget his name.
The only good one.
The football
yeah.
team. No, but there's both those guys. But that's not... Just Google his name. It was Deron Payne and it was somebody. It wasn't Jerron Reed, though. Jerron Reed, I don't even... Is he still in the Seahawks?
The best one out of those fucking 7.
I can't remember his name.
Jonathan Allen.
There we go.
There you go. You're right.
There we go. I'm saying.
Jonathan Allen.
He punched him. He's like, "What the fuck did you just hit me for?" He poked the side of his head, and then he swung on him. Had that punch connected, though, it would have been lights out. But yeah. And apparently, aren't they going to be the Admirals or some shit?
Is that official?
I've been seeing it floating around, but it's not official. But they're going to drop it February 2nd.
Interesting. All right. And I think I have one more. Hold on. Here we go. Cooper Kupp is 100 yards away from breaking 150 yards, 130 yards away from breaking Calvin Johnson's single season receiving record.
Turnover doesn't count.
Because he got an extra game?
He didn't break it in 16 games. It's great, but it doesn't count.
Fair.
I'm more impressed with Robert Quinn having almost 20 sacks and nobody talking about it. The quietest, 18
And he actually
sacks.
talks to the media.
Yeah. Hall of Famer. Quietly a Hall of Famer.
Shout out to the Eagles for making the playoffs. That's all.
Really?
Rants?
You want to go first?
No.
So, new year. Exciting times. I got approved to cover the Senior Bowl, so I'm excited about that. It's going to be fun going out to Alabama for the second time. Everything's going to be in South Alabama this time. I just got to figure out how everything's going to go. Then I found out some of my contemporaries in media are going. And it's just exciting to see people flourishing. Like, to start off the year with a win feels good. It feels like the past 2 years for me were just, okay, you just have to hunker down through this shit and just keep going. Now it's like, okay, stuff's on the horizon again. I was like something to look forward to, so it's nice. Also, condolences to our boy Jake, lost his grandfather. Jake from Downtown Rams. So, send your love and condolences his way. When you lose a patriarch of the family, it weighs a lot on you. It affects people differently, especially if you're a male, especially if you have a strong connection to your grandfather. I know I did. So, yeah. We love you, Jake. And prayers up to you and yours. And, yeah. Life is pretty trippy because Betty White died the last fucking day of 2021. So 2021 was kind of a dick. But mostly, positive energy. Positive energy this year, man. This is the year where you lean into the shit that you really want to make happen because it's there for you.
All right, man. Well, I'm tired of shit. It's been a long week for me. I was off those holiday weeks, and Felt like it was good to get a rest because it was the first time I ever had the holidays off. But at the same time, it kind of threw me off the rhythm I was trying to create. So now I'm trying to get back into it. It's just hard catching up. Outside of that, man, I'm looking forward to this new year, really taking my health seriously. Got a meal plan, so happy about that. My brothers are starting school next week. My sister started school this week. My other sister goes back to school in a couple weeks. So excited for them to get some new opportunities and continue to grow. And yeah, that's about it. Have a good week. It's Touchdowns and Tangents, your NFL spot for topical takes and tangents. Tap in with us on Instagram and Twitter, TDs_tangents. Download the Good News and the Good News Sports app. And yeah, find this podcast there as well as all your favorite podcast apps. Shout out to FBC Radio, X Squad affiliates, and all our homies and people who fuck with us. Have a good week. Peace. Peace.
Peace.
The one time I want this dude to get the fucking last word in.